For many, a secluded cabin in the woods represents the ultimate psychological escape from the exhaustive demands of modern society. But this peace comes with a hidden cost, the deliberate removal of the societal safety net. By choosing isolation, you are also choosing to live without the immediate protection of neighbors, bystanders, or rapid emergency response. This creates a societal vacuum. You are establishing a physical perimeter where the standard rules of safety and accountability no longer exist. The true horror of the cabin trope lies in the catastrophic failure of this physical perimeter against an unpredictable human threat. Seeking absolute isolation is a dangerous gamble. Stripping away society's protections leaves you completely vulnerable to human threats in three distinct forms. We begin with Breach 1, the invited threat. This occurs when the physical boundary is compromised because the danger was willingly brought inside. This was the case for a couple on a winter getaway. Their friend Randy, reeling from a sudden breakup, brought along a woman named Lucy, a complete stranger, to share the isolated space. In a remote environment, social masks often slip. During a simple game of Uno, Lucy's quiet demeanor vanished, replaced by an unhinged and violent outburst where she accused the others of cheating. The tension quickly shifted from social awkwardness to a physical threat. Randy later found a large knife resting on Lucy's side of the bed and discovered her wandering the dark cabin in a trance-like state, humming to herself and whispering, "I see you." By the time the weekend ended, Lucy had vanished into the woods and abandoned the knife. When the couple later attempted to find her, they realized she had been using a fake name. There was no public record of her existence. The invited threat proves that locks and walls are entirely useless when you have already welcomed the danger into your sanctuary. Breach 2 is the external threat, where a predator emerges from the wilderness to deliberately test the cabin's exterior boundary. One narrator, staying alone at a secluded cabin, was interrupted by a knock at 11 p.m. A clean-cut man in a suit stood on the porch, looking entirely out of place, speaking with a total lack of emotion. The stranger claimed he was looking for a lost girlfriend, using a fabricated emergency to try and convince the occupant to drop the physical boundary of the door. The psychological boundary shattered when the man pressed his face against the window and called the occupant by his first name. This wasn't a traveler in need, it was a targeted confrontation. The isolation of the cabin became a weapon. It took 15 minutes for a single patrol car to arrive, and by then the occupant discovered his car tires had been slashed, cutting off his only bridge back to civilization. An external threat weaponizes the societal vacuum by systematically disabling your means of escape before attempting to breach the door. The final degree of intrusion is the internal threat. This represents the absolute collapse of boundary logic because the danger is already entrenched inside. A man once traveled to an abandoned cabin he had inherited from his father. He spent the entire day alone, deep cleaning the lower level, unaware that his privacy was an illusion. He ignored the initial red flags, a smell of decay, mysterious food wrappers, and rustling sounds from the ceiling, assuming they were merely signs of a neglected building or an animal infestation. The realization hit him in the living room. He noticed a thick blanket next to the recliner that he hadn't seen earlier. As he watched, he saw the sole of a boot protruding from the bottom, and the fabric began rhythmically moving up and down with the breath of the person hiding beneath it. The man fled, later seeing a stranger emerge from the house. It was discovered that a transient man had been living in the filth of the attic for over a year, silently occupying the space directly above the owner's head. The internal threat is the most visceral terror of the triad, the discovery that your sanctuary was never truly yours to begin with. The triad of intrusion illustrates how a perimeter is breached through an invited guest, an external test, or an entrenched presence. Seclusion creates a psychological vulnerability. It amplifies danger because it removes the options of retreat or a call for help. Seeking out absolute isolation is a gamble. You are betting your safety on the unprovable assumption that you are truly alone. The cost of securing absolute peace in the wilderness is the risk of finally hearing the floorboards creak beneath someone else's feet.